Before we start this video, I want to make a quick but exciting announcement. I am releasing a novel called The Glass God, a thrilling cyberpunk mafia thriller about a guy who just wants to be noticed. A guy who wants to be the head of the criminal underworld of glass. The god of glass. He wants to be somebody. He wants to be the biggest, baddest guy in glass. A cyberpunk city set in the not so distant future. You can sign up for my email newsletter in the description below, and I have a TikTok channel where I will be posting updates of my book on there. You can find the description. You can find the link in the description below, and I hope to see you all there for the release of this book that is very special to me, and I hope it's special in some way to you too. It's exciting, it's suspenseful, If you like cyberpunk, if you like action, if you like mafia stuff, if you like gangster stuff, and also other things involving criminals, this is the book for you. So again, May 23rd, subscribe to my channel to get updates on the book. You can also follow me on thepancakeking.substack.com, also in the description below. Now, with all that sloppy stuff said, let's begin with the video. Welcome to the Pancake King Life and Marriage on the Spectrum. I am your host, Forrest, and if you've been watching this show for a while or been listening, whichever way you like to swing, I've mentioned in the past that Hollywood has been pretty poor when it comes to representation for the autism spectrum in movies and TV shows, and today I would like to actually delve into an interesting character that has been perceived to be on the autism spectrum in the past, that being Wilson Fisk. Wait, I'm sorry, not that one. Wilson Fisk. I know what I'm saying, but I'm not the only one saying it. For you see, I've gone through Reddit and I've done a little bit of research, and some of the things that people have had to say about Wilson Fisk and his relationship with autism is interesting. If you actually watch a couple of interviews with Vincent D'Onofrio, the actor who plays Kingpin in Netflix's Daredevil and the new Daredevil Born Again series, he actually goes on record to say that he was never diagnosed, but he believes that he would have been diagnosed as a child if autism was better understood at the time. So the question is, dear viewers, is Kingpin actually on the autism spectrum? Is he one of us? Are we one of him? What's the evidence that he might be on the spectrum? To find that evidence, let's look at parts of the Netflix Daredevil series and the new Daredevil Born Again series to find some of those hints.
Get out! You hurt her! Wait! You hurt Vanessa!
Just kidding.
Well, hello there.
Hello.
How are you enjoying Rabbit in a Snowstorm?
You remember?
Of course. It's one of my favorite pieces.
I hung it in my bedroom. It's the last thing I see every night.
I don't know if I would call this an autistic trait necessarily, but I do really like the fact that Wilson is very upfront and honest about what he's done with the painting that he bought from Vanessa, hanging it up in his bedroom. That's a pretty personal thing to admit, like right out of the gate with a woman that you barely know, and the woman probably even knows you less. So I thought it was really interesting that he's very upfront and honest. I thought that was pretty neat. Would you say that it's socially acceptable to say something like that to someone that you barely know and someone that you even have a crush on? I don't know. I guess it depends on the context of what you're hanging up in your bedroom. If you're hanging up a painting that you just bought from this woman at the shop, that might be considered a nice gesture. If you're talking about something else, like, oh, I hung up a portrait of you up in my bedroom, even though I barely know you, yeah, not really socially acceptable and kind of unnerving.
That's either very romantic or very sad.
Agreed, Vanessa. Agreed. I'm trying to figure out which one it is myself.
I like to tell myself it's the former.
Don't we all?
I wanted to thank you for it, personally.
That's really not necessary, but you're welcome. Is there anything else I can help you with?
No. Yes, I was actually wondering if you cared to join me for dinner.
I do love how Fisk kind of does this motion where he backs up for a second and then takes a few steps forward to basically bringing in that courage to formally ask her out. I just love how he takes a step back. He's like, okay, hold on, assess this for a second, now try again. I do really love that. There's another thing of note here is that he's actually not necessarily the greatest with eye contact. Yes, you can make the argument that Fisk is just really nervous here. He's asking a woman out that he's very interested in and really likes. So obviously it's hard to maintain eye contact when you're in that kind of situation. A lot of people can relate to that. However, if I was to kind of frame it in an autistic way, it's very common for people on the autism spectrum to not maintain eye contact with the person that they're talking to. Whether they have a crush on that person or not, they tend to struggle to maintain eye contact, which I guess in this case means that autistic people just have a crush on everybody.
I'm the only one working here tonight.
Another time, then.
I love how awkwardly he walks away here, and he's also like really brandishing his sleeve here. It's a very interesting nervous gesture. A lot of autistic people have this. They have their own like repetitive motions or body language little things that they do when they're in a situation that they're very nervous about. He definitely portrays some of those traits here. That sort of social situation where an autistic person can show that they're not always the most equipped to be in a social situation like this. The nervous physical tic, the lack of eye contact, the fact that he kind of like backs himself up. It's almost like he's telling himself he needs to back up, reset, and try again. And I thought that was really awesome. Phenomenal acting by Vincent D'Onofrio. That's how you say his name. He just knew this character, still knows this character inside and out, and does a phenomenal job.
1, 2, 3. We built this city. We built this city on rock and roll. Built this city. Don't you remember?
Just wonderful. Children have such talent.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Now for our next one.
No. That's fine. Such talent, and again, you were wonderful. And as they say, the city never sleeps.
Ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, I present to you the mayor of New York City, Wilson Fisk.
She builds a-da-da-das. She builds a-da-da-das on rock and roll. Builds a-da-da-das. She builds a-da-da-das on rock and roll.
I love this little sequence in Daredevil Born Again. Some people believe it's pretty tonally off, and I can completely side with them on that too. I love this because it just, again, another awkward social situation. He has to smile, he has to keep up a bright, positive face, even though he wants to be anywhere but there. Vincent D'Onofrio tends to do a lot of like twitching with his face, a lot of like non-verbal stuff going on his face in certain situations. I'm using the word situation a lot in this episode. There's a lot going on Fisk's face, and one of the things that I really like is that he is a completely open book. I've been told in the past that I am a very open book when it comes to my emotions. It's almost impossible for me to hide whatever emotions I happen to have. It's really hard for me to hide them. I've been told before that I'm an open book, and I would agree. If I'm really upset, or if I'm really sad, or something is just not sitting right with me, I will show that as much as I try to hide that as hard as I can. It is really, really hard for me to hide my emotions. If I'm really happy, I will show that to myself when I'm alone. And in situations where I'm with other people, and I'm really happy I show that. There are so many times where I try to actually hide how I'm really feeling or like what's going on in my mind, but it is really, really hard for me to, because eventually whatever I'm trying to hide does come out in some form, whether it's anger, whether it's tears, whether it's like a big smile. It does break out eventually. And I love how Fisk is trying so hard in this situation to contain himself and try to be in the present moment, but on the inside, we can see very visibly that he does not want to be there, that he wants to be doing anything but this and being anywhere but there. And I thought that was great. Vincent D'Onofrio, again, does such a talented job of showing us little idiosyncrasies when it comes to people on the autism spectrum without even necessarily intending to. Whether it's Vincent's intention to act Kingpin as if he is on the autism spectrum or not, he does a really good job giving us something that at least I can relate to and my wife can relate to. In addition to looking at some of the traits Fisk expresses that kind of points to the autism spectrum, I thought I'd look at how other people view Fisk when it comes to his relationship with autism. I've rewatched the whole Daredevil series and kept thinking about Fisk's behavior, avoiding looking at people in the eye, strict routine, trouble at making real friends, only having a real relationship with Wesley and Vanessa, his way of speaking, etc. As an autistic, I see myself in him a bunch of times, and I wonder if anyone has a thought about this. Maybe Autistic Coded was done? As an autistic too, I think Wilson Fisk, at least the MCU version, is autistic. And just like that, the autistic community has spoken based on 2 people. But hey, it's crazy that it's happened twice, right? I did find it really interesting and cool that the guy refers to Fisk's strict routine, which I didn't pull up the clip for, but in the Netflix Daredevil series, you will see in one episode in particular, there are 2 scenes where we see Fisk go through his morning routine, and it's practically exactly the same. The way he gets out of bed, the way he picks his clothes, the breakfast that he has in the morning, the way that he is obsessed with cleanliness. Even after knocking that guy's head off with the car door, he cleans his face off. He's very obsessed with cleanliness and organization. You see the way that he organizes his clothes in the closet. There's a lot of little things there that points to his autistic traits, and I think that's really cool. If there's any takeaway here, I think Hollywood tends to make the best autistic representation by accident. They tend to make the best autistic representation when they're not trying to, and it ends up getting passed down into characters like Wilson Fisk. Is it necessarily a bad thing that we see it in a character like Wilson Fisk, especially a villain who has done some pretty clearly terrible things? Not necessarily. Hey, I think some good equality means giving people both the hero role and the villain role, and Wilson Fisk just happens, possibly, to be one of those. I am sorry that I made this about Kingpin and his correlation with the autism spectrum, but doing a podcast about the autism doing an episode about the autism spectrum means tackling things that we're not always going to feel comfortable about tackling. Do you think some people would feel comfortable about me saying or making a claim that Kingpin may be on the autism spectrum, at least this version of Kingpin? No. They'd probably even feel a little bit defensive about loved ones they know on the autism spectrum. But you know what? That's okay. I completely understand. I just wanted to make this point. It's interesting to look into. If you haven't seen Daredevil, I wouldn't say watch it just because of that. There are so many good things about that show and some really good things about Daredevil Born Again that's worth investing time in. I just wanted to kind of bring up some representation potential that we see in Wilson Fisk. Is Sheldon from Big Bang Theory referred to as one on the autism spectrum explicitly in that show? No, but it's pretty clear by a lot of his mannerisms that he is. And you know the cool thing about it too? There's almost nothing that's the same about Sheldon and Wilson Fisk, because like I said before, when you've met one person on the autism spectrum, you have only met one person on the autism spectrum. It's called a spectrum for a reason. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, as crazy and disorganized and messy as it was. I do have a TikTok channel now, which has a link in the description below, and if you want to see more like this, please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
Quiet!